Captain Leora Anrev stood by the observation window of the Arc Horizon, a massive research vessel stationed on the edges of the Sealess Nebula. She gazed out at the universe sprawling before her, a grand tapestry of color, light, and endless mystery. The stars beyond the glass shimmered with their ancient light, and in the silence of the observation deck, Leora felt a strange chill. Her mind wandered back to Earth, its bustling cities, its blue oceans, the laughter of people she hadn't seen in years. All those memories felt distant, like relics of a world she'd once known but could never return to. Humanity had pushed farther into the galaxy than anyone had ever expected. They had expanded their reach, established colonies, and even struck peaceful alliances with other civilizations. But as they stretched their hands deeper into the unknown, they began to discover artifacts, remnants of something far older than any of their galactic allies. Mysterious and powerful, these artifacts held a language no one could decode, yet they emitted a strange energy that seemed to resonate with the very fabric of space. Leora's mission was one of pure exploration. The Arc Horizon had been fitted with the most advanced technology Earth could offer, and its crew of scientists, engineers, and explorers had been handpicked for their courage and curiosity. They were the best and the brightest, tasked with uncovering the secrets hidden in the Sealess Nebula, a region filled with anomalies and riddled with the ruins of an ancient civilization. The crew worked tirelessly, collecting data, recording energy fluctuations, and mapping the intricate, shifting structures that floated through the nebula. Yet, something felt wrong. Weeks into their expedition, strange phenomena began to occur. Shadows would move in the corner of a crew member's vision, instruments would glitch inexplicably, and more than once, people reported hearing faint whispers, like voices carried on the wind from a place just beyond reality. Leora dismissed these incidents at first, thinking them side effects of long hours and overstimulation. But then the dreams started. Almost every night, she found herself in a vast, empty landscape. Cold winds blew across a lifeless plain, and in the distance, towering ruins reached for a sky that seemed too dark, too deep. She was not alone. Shadowy figures stood at the edges of her vision, watching her with eyes that were cold and endless. And each time, as she approached the ruins, she would hear a voice, a single whisper, but clear, resonant, and filled with sorrow. If only we had known. Leora woke each morning drenched in sweat, feeling as if a great weight had settled in her chest. She was not the only one. Soon, others on the Arc Horizon started reporting similar dreams, each with subtle differences, but always ending in that same haunting phrase. The crew grew restless, their initial excitement dampened by a shared sense of unease. Scientists and analysts pored over the data they had collected, hoping to find an explanation in the readings or the anomalous energy patterns of the nebula. One day a breakthrough came. Dr. Arsher, the Arc Horizon's leading xenolinguist, discovered a faint pattern in the transmissions from one of the artifacts they had recovered. The artifact was a small, crystalline structure, seemingly inert, but when placed near a powerful energy source, it emitted a low hum, like a song that couldn't quite be heard. After weeks of careful study, Arsher found that the hum contained a series of repeating sequences. It was a message, a warning encoded in a language lost to time, but preserved in these crystalline structures scattered across the galaxy. With the help of the Arc Horizon's AI, they pieced together fragments of the message. It spoke of a great civilization, one that had spread across the stars, united and powerful. They had mastered technologies that could bend space, control time, and peer into the very essence of life. But in their quest for knowledge, they encountered a darkness, a force beyond comprehension, beyond their ability to understand or contain. The ancient civilization's greatest minds tried to devise ways to neutralize this darkness. They built structures to study it, weapons to combat it, and vaults to contain it. But they underestimated its power, its malevolent intelligence. In the end, it broke free, consuming their worlds, their people, their very history. All that remained were these artifacts, scattered relics meant to warn any who might follow. The message ended with a simple phrase, written in the same haunting voice that had filled their dreams. If only we had known. The revelation sent a shiver through the Arc Horizon's crew. What was this darkness? Where had it gone? And could it still be lurking, waiting to find new life to consume? The scientists debated endlessly, some arguing that the message was merely a cautionary tale, others warning that it could be more than a memory. It could be a threat still lingering, perhaps even a trap set for the next civilization to encounter it. But it was too late. Unknown to the crew, the energy readings from their studies had triggered something deep within the nebula. The ship's sensors began to pick up unusual signals, and soon, they found themselves surrounded by a field of strange, pulsing lights. These were not stars. They were moving, converging toward the arc horizon, with an intent that felt cold and inexorable. Panic set in as the crew scrambled to activate the ship's defenses. But it became clear that their technology was powerless here. The energy field enveloping them seemed to absorb every attempt at resistance, nullifying their weapons and communications. Dr. Archer, desperate to understand, returned to the artifact, hoping to find some clue, some forgotten piece of knowledge that might save them. As the lights drew closer, an unnatural calm settled over Leora. She found herself standing again by the observation window, watching the phenomenon approach with a strange acceptance. She thought of the message, of the warning lost to time, and realized with a heavy heart that this ancient civilization's fate might very well become theirs. For all of humanity's intelligence and resilience, they had walked the same path, reaching too far into mysteries they were not prepared to face. "If only we had known," she murmured, echoing the words that had haunted her dreams. The pulsing lights pressed closer, and as the ship's systems began to shut down one by one, Leora felt a sudden, profound sadness, not for herself, but for Earth, for humanity, and for the future that now might never come. In her final moments, as the lights enveloped the ship in a blinding, silent embrace, she understood the full meaning of the message. They had been warned, yet the desire for knowledge, for discovery, had been too powerful to resist. Humanity had answered the call of the stars, but some calls, she now knew, were never meant to be answered. In the end, the arc horizon vanished, lost to the depths of the sealess nebula, leaving only a faint, haunting signal drifting out into the stars. A message that would carry on through the ages, waiting for the next to hear it. If only we had known. Days turned into weeks, then months. The disappearance of the arc horizon became one of the greatest mysteries in galactic history. Despite extensive search efforts, no trace of the vessel or its crew could be found. The Sealess Nebula, with its dense clouds of gas and ionized particles, swallowed them whole, hiding them from even the most advanced scanning technology. The universe moved on, but the haunting legacy of the arc horizon's fate lingered. Back on Earth, the news was met with disbelief and sorrow. The arc horizon had been the pride of humanity, a symbol of what could be achieved when the best minds and the boldest explorers came together. Its crew had been hailed as pioneers, not just of space, but of a new era of understanding and cooperation. The mission's loss left a void that no one could fill. Families, friends, and colleagues of those aboard the arc horizon held on to the hope that somehow, someone might return with answers, but they knew deep down that the chances of that were slim. The scientific community, once united in their belief in humanity's ability to conquer the stars, now found themselves divided. Some argued that the arc horizon's disappearance was the result of an ancient force, a cosmic anomaly they had failed to understand. Others, less willing to accept the idea of an unknowable, malevolent darkness, posited that the ship had simply suffered a technical malfunction or been destroyed by some natural space event. But the question that plagued everyone, what had the crew encountered, remained unanswered. Years passed, and the memory of the arc horizon began to fade into the background of human exploration. But a small group of scientists and philosophers, haunted by the crew's final words, refused to let go of the mystery. Dr. Archer, now a leading figure in xenolinguistics, continued her research into the ancient artifacts found in the nebula, convinced that they were somehow connected to the disappearance of the arc horizon. She pored over the data again and again, deciphering fragments of forgotten language, while seeking patterns in the energy readings from the nebula that might explain the strange fate of the ship. And then one day an unexpected breakthrough came. A transmission, weak but undeniable, appeared on Earth's deep space monitoring systems. It was a signal from the Sealess Nebula. The frequency matched that of the mysterious hum emitted by the artifacts, and to their shock, it contained more than just static. It was a message. At first, the message was unintelligible, a chaotic jumble of sounds and fragmented words. But then, as they worked to isolate the signal, they began to hear something, familiar, yet deeply unsettling. The voice was faint, distorted by years of travel through space, but it was unmistakable. It was the voice of Captain Leora and Rev. Her words, though broken and fragmented, sent a chill through the room as they came through loud and clear. "We were wrong. We opened the door. It's not just a warning. It's waiting for us." The message cut off abruptly, leaving only static and the eerie hum that had long been associated with the artifacts. It was enough to send shockwaves through the scientific community and beyond. Earth had always prided itself on its progress and its ability to explore the unknown, but this message was a stark reminder that there were forces in the universe that humanity was not prepared to face. Forces that, once awakened, could never be contained again. Dr. Arsher was among the first to analyze the transmission, her fingers trembling as she translated the remaining fragments. The message spoke of something ancient and incomprehensible, something older than the galaxy itself. The crew of the Ark Horizon had encountered it, had come into contact with it, and had realized too late that they were not merely studying an artifact but awakening something far worse. The door they had opened was a gateway to a force that had consumed an entire civilization long before humanity ever ventured into space. The voices that the crew had heard, the whispers that had haunted their dreams, were not just echoes, they were a signal. The ancient civilization, in their final moments, had left these warnings behind, knowing that their hubris would ultimately lead to their downfall. And now, humanity had become the next target. But what could be done? The message left more questions than answers. Was the force still out there, lurking, waiting for the right moment to strike? Could humanity stop it before it spread? Was it already too late? The answers were not clear, but one thing was certain. The Ark Horizon had discovered something humanity was never meant to find. And now, it was up to the next generation of explorers, of scientists, and of leaders to decide whether they would heed the warning or press forward into the unknown once more. The message from Captain Leora and Rev was just the beginning. It was a cry for help, a plea from those who had ventured too far. And now it echoed through the stars, reaching the ears of every species, every civilization that looked to the stars for answers. If only we had known, the message whispered again, this time not just from the past, but from the future as well, as if the universe itself was warning humanity that some truths, some mysteries, are better left undiscovered. But humans had always been curious, always willing to risk everything for knowledge. The question now was whether that curiosity would save them, or lead them to the same fate as the civilization that had come before. As the signal faded into the vastness of space, a new mission was quietly set in motion. A team of explorers, the best and brightest of Earth's new generation, was preparing to venture back into the Sealess Nebula. They were determined to find the truth, to uncover what had happened to the Ark Horizon, and to uncover the secrets of the ancient force that had destroyed an entire civilization. But deep within the nebula, in the same shadows where the Ark Horizon had vanished, something stirred. It was waiting, and this time it would not be so easy to stop. The echoes of the past reverberated through time, and humanity's future would be shaped by the choices they made in the darkness of space. And so once more the stars called, and humanity answered. But this time, the question was no longer one of discovery. It was a question of survival. The days turned to weeks as Earth's greatest minds worked to decode the rest of the message from Captain Leora and Rev. The signal, once faint and distorted, was now stronger, too strong to ignore. But as the scientists delved deeper into its meaning, it became clear that the answer they sought was more complex than they had ever imagined. Dr. Arsher, haunted by the words of the lost captain, was at the forefront of the research. Each night she stayed awake, poring over the remaining fragments of the transmission, piecing them together like a jigsaw puzzle, trying to decipher the cryptic warning that the Ark Horizon had left behind. And with each discovery, her fear grew. The transmission was more than a cry for help. It was a map, a blueprint for something far larger than anyone could have imagined. The Ark Horizon's crew had uncovered a network of cosmic gateways, hidden structures scattered throughout the galaxy, constructed by the ancient civilization. These were not just relics, they were conduits. They connected distant regions of the universe, allowing entities to travel between them. The message hinted at a terrifying truth. These gateways were never meant to be opened. They were constructed to trap something that had once plagued the ancient civilization. And it was not just a matter of a force or a being. It was a hunger, a cosmic entity that fed on life, on entire civilizations, consuming everything in its path. The ancient people had sealed it away, hoping to forget it, to protect the future. But now humanity had unknowingly activated one of these gateways, unleashing the very thing that had destroyed them. As the final pieces of the message fell into place, the world grew uneasy. The galaxy was not just vast, it was dangerous. The forces humanity had once thought to be mere legends were very real, and they were waking up. Leora's final words echoed in Dr. Areshi's mind. We opened the door. It's not just a warning, it's waiting for us. In the weeks that followed, the universe seemed to hold its breath. The first signs of the entity's presence were subtle, strange energy pulses from distant stars, subtle disruptions in the fabric of space itself. Scientists around the world studied these phenomena, but no one could connect the dots until the darkness, like a slow-moving tide, began to spread. But the real fear came when one of the far-flung colonies, situated on the outer rim of human space, suddenly went silent. The colony, known as Epsilon 7, had been a thriving research hub, its population of over 300 scientists and engineers working on advanced terraforming technologies. But when Earth tried to contact them, there was nothing. No communication, no signals, no response. The silence was all-encompassing. The crew of the Ark Horizon had vanished into the Sealess Nebula, but now something else had vanished. This time, a whole colony, as if erased from existence. The situation on Earth grew dire. The Galactic Council of Species, once so eager to welcome humanity into the fold, now eyed them with suspicion. The discovery of the Gateway and the mysterious entity, combined with the silence from Epsilon 7, made them question whether humans were a threat, a species capable of unleashing powers beyond their understanding. In an emergency meeting, the Council issued an ultimatum. Either humanity would help stop whatever had been unleashed, or they would be ostracized, left to face the consequences of their recklessness alone. The pressure weighed heavily on Earth's leaders. Some argued that the galaxy had already moved too far away from their home to protect them. But others, particularly those who had worked alongside the Ark Horizon's crew, felt they owed it to Leora and her team to stop the calamity before it consumed any more lives. Humanity had to act, and quickly. In secret, Dr. Arsher and a small team of scientists, engineers, and military personnel began assembling a new ship, one capable of reaching the farthest reaches of the nebula to investigate the disappearances and, hopefully, uncover the truth about the gateways. It would be called Odyssey, a mission not just of exploration but of survival. The new ship was unlike anything humanity had ever built. Equipped with advanced shielding, quantum communication systems, and the most powerful weapons humanity could muster, it was designed to stand against whatever forces awaited them in the Sealess Nebula. But the crew knew that even with the best technology, they were stepping into the unknown. The Odyssey set sail, its engines igniting in a blaze of light as it cut through the darkness of space. The journey was long and perilous, with the crew fighting against time and the growing dread of the unknown. As they approached the edge of the Sealess Nebula, the very fabric of space seemed to warp and bend around them. The stars flickered and disappeared, replaced by shadows and shifting lights, and soon, they found themselves surrounded by a haunting, pulsating glow. It was then that they encountered it, the entity. It was not a creature of flesh or bone but a presence, an immense force that seemed to stretch across the stars, feeding off the energy of the galaxy itself. It was ancient, older than any civilization that had ever existed, and it was waking from its slumber. For the crew of the Odyssey, the horror of the situation became clear in an instant. The gateway that the Ark Horizon had uncovered was not a passage, it was a trap, and humanity had stepped right into it. The entity, aware of their presence, reached out with tendrils of dark energy, warping space itself. The ship's systems screamed in protest as they tried to fight back, but the power of the entity was too great. The crew fought valiantly, trying to close the gateway, to stop the flow of energy that threatened to unravel everything. But they were not prepared for what came next. The darkness surged, and the Odyssey was torn apart, its fragments scattering into the nebula, lost to the stars. From the wreckage, only one signal managed to break through the chaos, a single transmission, broken and fragmented, from the last surviving crew member. If only we had known. The message, like the one from Leora before it, would be the final warning humanity received before the entity spread its reach across the galaxy. And this time, there would be no turning back. In the end, the galaxy fell silent. The once thriving colonies, the bustling cities, the vibrant worlds, all swallowed by the darkness. The ancient entity had awakened, and there would be no escape. Humanity's quest for knowledge had led them to their doom, and the stars, once symbols of hope, were now nothing more than cold, lifeless points in the vast, empty black. If only we had known. The universe, indifferent and uncaring, moved on.